Welcome to Grand Prix, your go-to channel for the fastest updates in Formula One. We've got 3 hot stories for you, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay ahead of the pack. Let's get started.
Hey friends, how's it going? Big question today. Is McLaren sabotaging Oscar Piastri's car, or has the Australian simply lost his confidence? Both the driver and the team have spoken out about what's been happening in recent races, which ultimately cost Piastri the championship lead for the first time since April. Let's break it all down. And of course, a video this complete deserves your subscription. We're entering the decisive stretch of the season, heading toward the Brazilian Grand Prix, and you don't want to miss any of the action. So make sure you're subscribed, notifications on, and drop a like. That way YouTube alerts you whenever a new video comes out, always with the very best of Formula One. Now, back to Piastri. The young Australian hasn't been in his best form this season. At the Mexican Grand Prix, he once again suffered from a mysterious lack of pace compared to his teammate Lando Norris, and that poor performance cost him the championship lead. In qualifying, he was more than half a second slower than Norris, only managing P7 on the grid, and that was with help from Carlos Sainz's penalty. This isn't just a one-off. For several races now, Piastri has looked unsettled, making small mistakes and struggling to match Norris's rhythm. And naturally, when that happens, the rumors start flying. Some fans are already speculating that McLaren might be giving preference to Norris, or even, in the more extreme theories, sabotaging Piastri's car. But what's really going on? Piastri himself addressed the situation this week. He admitted he initially wondered if there might be lingering damage from the United States GP, where the bumpy track made the car bottom out badly. But after a detailed analysis with the team, they found no signs of mechanical failure. Team principal Andrea Stella was very clear. There is nothing wrong with the car. Instead, Stella pointed to driving style and track conditions. He explained that Norris excels in situations with low grip and sliding tires, exactly what we saw in Austin and Mexico, while Piastri shines on high grip circuits where his precise style works best. Stella reminded everyone that this is still only Piastri's 3rd season in Formula One, and that ups and downs like this are part of his development curve. During practice sessions, engineer Tom Stollard noticed that Norris was gaining significant time in the heavy braking zones, especially at turns 1 and 12. Piastri tried to adapt, braking later and stretching his deceleration to match Norris's approach, but that adjustment cost him speed in other areas, particularly the fast-flowing sections and the stadium sector. In other words, the gap wasn't about equipment, but about adapting to conditions. Piastri reinforced this message in his own words. He admitted in the last 2 races he hasn't been able to use his natural style of driving. Instead, he's been forced to tweak things, which left him less comfortable behind the wheel. But he was adamant. He hasn't lost confidence or ability. It's just a matter of adjustment, and he believes that analyzing these experiences will make him stronger for the upcoming rounds. He also pushed back firmly on the idea that McLaren has been favoring Norris. According to Piastri, the cars haven't changed in weeks, and his dip in performance has nothing to do with the machinery. It's about adapting to the unique challenges of recent circuits. Looking ahead, Stella is confident Piastri will bounce back quickly, pointing to Interlagos as a track more suited to his strengths. The team expects him to use the Mexican Grand Prix as a learning experience and return to fighting at the front. Still, the reality is harsh. The championship lead is gone, and if Piastri doesn't recover fast, Norris or even Verstappen could take full advantage. The next few races will be crucial to prove whether this is just a temporary slump or a real turning point in the title battle. So now I turn it over to you. Do you think McLaren has truly been fair with both drivers, or is there an internal push to make Norris the clear number 1? And most importantly, can Piastri recover in time to still fight for the title? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
Hey friends, welcome back. Today's headline is a major shocker. Hackers have breached FIA systems and gained access to Max Verstappen's personal data. Let's break it all down for you right here on GP at Home. According to reports, the FIA suffered a serious cybersecurity incident this week after vulnerabilities were discovered in its online portal. This system holds sensitive personal data for hundreds of drivers across multiple categories, including Formula One. Among the compromised files were records belonging to 4-time world champion Max Verstappen. The breach came to light when a user on social media platform X revealed that he and two other cybersecurity specialists had identified a critical flaw. They created a test account on the FIA portal and, shockingly, were able to promote themselves to administrator status without any verification. The flaw, described as a Mesa segment vulnerability, essentially tricked the FIA server into trusting malicious commands, giving outsiders unrestricted access. With this admin clearance, the group could view documents such as Verstappen's super license, passport details, and private contact information. The hackers claim, however, that they did not download or copy any files. Instead, they say the test was performed only to prove the vulnerability. After confirming the exposure, they reported it directly to the FIA and even assisted in fixing the issue. In an official statement, the FIA acknowledged the incident, confirmed that corrective measures were implemented, and stated that both the data protection authorities and the affected drivers had been notified. The governing body insisted that no other systems, such as live race control or technical scrutineering networks, were compromised. They also emphasized their ongoing investments in cybersecurity and digital resilience. Still, the revelation has raised tough questions. How could such a basic flaw exist in a system holding passports, licenses, and personal contacts of the world's most high-profile drivers? Fans and analysts alike are stunned that a relatively simple exploit left Verstappen's data, and potentially that of dozens of other F1 and junior category drivers, vulnerable. Cybersecurity experts point out that sports organizations are becoming increasingly attractive targets. Sensitive data, combined with the prestige of global sports like Formula One, creates a perfect storm. In many cases, it isn't professional cybercriminals, but ethical hackers who discover these flaws first, exposing weaknesses that should have been patched long ago. For Verstappen, this incident highlights the risks of being one of the most recognizable faces in motorsport. While no evidence suggests his information was stolen or misused, the mere fact that hackers could access his records underscores the urgency for tighter data protection in F1. So, what do you think? Was this a careless oversight by the FIA, failing to safeguard their drivers' information? Or in today's digital world, is it simply inevitable that hackers will eventually find a way into almost any system? Drop your thoughts below. We'd love to hear your perspective on this surprising off-track drama.
Hey everyone, welcome back to GP at Home. Big news today, Mercedes and McLaren are officially under investigation and may have breached Formula One's cost cap. Let's break down everything we know so far. Just a few days ago, we reported on early whispers that one or more teams might have overspent during the 2024 season budget cycle. Now, according to Sky Sports Italy, those whispers have solidified. The two teams named are none other than Mercedes and McLaren. The FIA's cost cap administration is said to be handling the case with extreme discretion, hoping to avoid major controversy while the 2025 championship fight is still in progress. But if these suspicions are confirmed, the consequences could be severe, especially for McLaren, the reigning back-to-back constructors champion. At this stage, it's still unclear whether the violations are strictly about spending beyond the limit or whether they involve inconsistencies in financial reporting. We've seen this before. Aston Martin faced scrutiny in 2022 not for overspending, but for discrepancies in the way their expenses were declared. Several insiders believe this could once again be a case where the numbers don't quite add up between internal accounts and the figures submitted to the FIA. Still, if either Mercedes or McLaren has actually overspent the $135 million cost cap before allowable adjustments, the FIA has a wide range of penalties available. Sanctions could include fines, reductions in aerodynamic testing time, as Red Bull experienced in 2021, budget cuts for the following season, and in more extreme cases, deductions of constructors and even drivers' championship points. That last option, points deductions, would be the most damaging. And with both teams fighting at the sharp end of the grid, it could alter not just the constructors' table, but also the title battle between Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, and Max Verstappen. The FIA itself has so far refused to comment directly. the governing body simply confirmed that all accounts remain under review and promised that the official compliance report will be published once the audit process is complete. This silence is fueling speculation. Some analysts argue that if the FIA already knows about breaches, it should not delay the announcement until after the championship concludes. Others believe the FIA is right to wait. After all, dropping a bombshell penalty in the middle of the season could destabilize the sport even further. So here's the bottom line. Mercedes and McLaren may or may not have breached the rules. If they did, the fallout could reshape the grid heading into the 2026 regulations. If they didn't, we may just be looking at accounting discrepancies that generate headlines but little more. But the fact that two of the biggest names in Formula One, teams with the deepest history, resources, and fan bases, are under the microscope makes the story impossible to ignore. So now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Mercedes or McLaren really went over the cost cap? Or is this just procedural noise, the kind of paperwork drama that never leads to real penalties? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This is one story we'll all want to keep an eye on.